Got it. Shalom, everybody. This is Gidon Ariel. Happy to see you, and especially happy to see my friend, Jason Caplan. How are you, Jason?
Gidon, doing great. Baruch Hashem. How are you, given the whole situation?
The whole situation is fine. What situation are you talking about?
What's going on? Kind of a slow news cycle, isn't it?
Slow news day. Well, in the old days, I would listen to the news every single hour, but it's gotten slower and slower. So I just listen a little bit in the morning, watch my WhatsApp, and things are going on. It's really, of course, a miracle what's going on over here that we're getting hundreds of attacks from the
hmm
north.
hmm
I don't think a single person, I mean, there might have been a one or two injuries, maybe some that weren't even reported, but no deaths.
Right.
Hundreds of rocket attacks. I think that some people, without giving it much thought, they might see some sort of a meme or something like that that said 1,000 people in Lebanon are killed, none in Israel. They'll say,
Yeah.
"Oh, those Israelis are so terrible." No, those Israelis are trying to save lives. These
That's the difference. That's the
aren't
difference.
didn't give it that much thought.
I just don't know why that's not just an obvious moral distinction in all of the West, but from leaders and legislators to all kinds of reporters, they can't make the distinction, and it's just it's shocking to me.
There doesn't seem to be much such a thing as moral distinction anymore. I'm sorry to say. To say to know what is right and what is wrong. I think that's what we was supposedly learned in the in the Garden of Eden, right? If you eat
Right.
from the tree, then you'll be like God, knowing the difference between good and bad. The Tovara.
Right.
Uh, but then what happened? They ate from the tree, and then they got embarrassed and bashful because they weren't wearing any clothes, and they took something and made some clothes. They covered themselves with leaves.
Yep.
So now people aren't embarrassed about that kind of stuff. So I guess that means they can't tell that there was a good and bad either.
I think so. I think the whole world of activism, although in theory I support activism, but it blurred all the distinctions so that people could say, well, I can just pick this group as always evil and be active against them. I don't have to make any distinction or do any critical thinking anymore.
I don't know anybody who would stand up and say, "Yes, I agree with that. Pick me, Monty. I'm the one who doesn't make distinctions." But it's very hard to imagine that some people, the way that they're expressing themselves, are doing that kind of thing. On the other hand, if you start talking to them, maybe they will. I don't know. I don't get much chance to talk to people like that.
I haven't engaged in a long time, and I think I'm more interested now, as we've spoken about in previous sessions about this language project and music project, and just bringing people together
Sure.
in general without talking politics. But I think it is a total evaluation, negative evaluation of the education system that people just don't think critically. They're just active. They're just active. They're ready to chant and march on the streets. And I think there's a lot of loneliness in the Western world, and I think people want to join a group and they're not really looking at the price tag for joining, which is you're echoing the sentiments of Hamas and Hezbollah. They just want to join a group and march and be part of something.
Well, things have not changed since I was a itty bitty kid.
Mm-hmm.
There was a movie that I would be very surprised if you haven't heard of and seen, probably shown. What was it? It wasn't called The Way. It was about this
The
what was it called?
the wave.
The Wave. That's what it
Yes,
was.
I know it very well.
I figured. So for any of our viewers who weren't familiar, what was it? Was a teacher who decided to make some sort of a not a
Elite club.
test.
He made like an elite club that they would all be together and they'd have a sign, they join and they would have rituals and certain
See,
people were in, certain people were out. And they kept getting more and
a
more
secret
violent.
handshake.
Secret handshake and got more and more violent. And then he said at the end of the movie, all right, now we're going to see our true leader. He's going to beam to us on this video channel. And then they showed a video of Hitler and he terrified all the kids and broke their hearts. And not that I would recommend this experiment, but as a movie, it did show that people are just ready to join. Lonely people, disaffected people, whatever it is, they're ready to join a group, and they don't really look at the terms of use, really.
I don't know that you need to be lonely or disaffected. I think that just Like it's a
Right. I
wave.
don't know the reason. Yeah, I don't know the reason. Yeah, I mean the most elite people, the most elite institutions like Harvard and Columbia, these people are believing this and they're not really protesting too much if Jewish people are not allowed into class in America, in
Crazy,
the elite
crazy.
institutions.
Anyway, yes, but so yeah, you guys have some problems over there stateside, but over here we're doing okay.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, I've really seen a shift in the Jewish American community. Now, God willing, in the future, it wouldn't take like an October 7th to see that shift. So let's hope that positive things happen in the world. People are like, oh, I want to study more Torah and I want to delve deeper into my Judaism. But okay, that's what the world we live in, and people are getting more involved with their Judaism and taking it more seriously, and they understand the kind of world we live in has not, unfortunately, fundamentally changed. We have a lot of nations that welcome us, but we have a lot of nations that really, really hate us. And I don't know how far it goes, between the leadership and the population, but certainly the leadership of Iran needs to go. And all these things about the Iran deal, and they're going to get right with the world, and we're going to stop their nuclear program. I mean, all that craziness I used to hear from people. I hope that whole facade is dropped now.
I'm afraid it might be. If it's dropped, then somebody's going to pick it up, and a lot of people aren't going to remember that it was dropped.
Yeah, that whole facade was just incredible. That anybody thought that that was like a real strategy. But anyways, but shifting to the good news, I mean, I really have seen more Torah study, more Tehillim. That means Psalms
Right.
being said, a lot more study, a lot more interest in people's Judaism. So, um, again, in the future, hopefully it's for positive events, make people study their Judaism more. But if there's sort of a wake up call that, yeah, we need an Israel and we need a self defense force, and or else we're sitting ducks, and we have to also strengthen our spirituality. Okay, let's go with it.
Uh, Listen, I'm very lucky, and I think you are too, but I hang out with people like that.
Mm-hmm.
People who are looking for spirituality, people who are thirsty for the Torah, just like it says in the prophets. Not a thirst for water or a hunger for bread, but to hear the word of the Lord.
Yes.
And that's what we're doing.
And also
Now,
there, mhm.
yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
I was going to say there are also many people who are not Jewish who are thirsting for the Torah, and we're not looking for converts. But with my music project, I was able to study Rabbi Abulafia, who we've spoken about, and we translated him to Punjabi like 2 or 3 years ago.
You
And
translated what into Punjabi?
Abulafia's Kabbalistic works,
A
paragraphs of it.
book?
Not a book. Avi Solomon is a translator of Abulafia, and he took some key passages and translated into English, and then I had it translated into Punjabi. And the Sikh people, they're strict monotheists, a
Yeah.
wonderful religion. So the translator, who was Sikh, said, "This is a wonderful meditative practices. This applies to everybody." Because Abulafi was really writing for the Jewish people and for everybody. And he said, "I love this." And I was like, "Oh, I'm so glad you love it." And I really enjoy understanding more about Sikh meditation. But the point is that when we go to the world and say, here's the way to meditate and come close to God, I've seen so many people light up and say, yeah, I love these ideas. So there is a path forward where the nations will recognize the one God and will recognize that there's a one human family that came from Adam and Chava or from Noah. But right now we have people who don't want that.
You mentioned, of course, Abu Lavia. You can't get more than a few minutes talking to somebody without mentioning him. I know you.
Yes, yes.
Uh,
My main
um,
inspiration.
this last Shabbat, my wife and I went to a conference, a seminar, a 2 day long seminar. We're very delighted that we're a member of this group that has seminars like this every month or two or three on different topics. Often about history. We've seen topics about military history in Israel, the history of Zionism, Bible topics. So this last Shabbat, there were 8 lectures about Maimonides,
Oh, great.
and the name Abu Lafia definitely came up, and it was
Great.
probably happened on Shabbat, so I didn't write it down. But because the lectures were on Friday morning until Shabbat, Motzei Shabbat, the two
Oh,
days
what a
later, Saturday night.
cool conference.
Very, very much so. And I was wondering, the Abalafia that you speak of, What
Hmm.
was his first name? Michael?
No, this is Avraham Abulafia. There was a Raphael Abulafia. I don't remember Michael Abulafia. I'll look that up.
No, I think actually now that I think about it, I think he's a modern
Yes,
psychologist or something like that.
I think he's a modern author, and there's a David Abulafi who's a modern author. But Abraham Abulafi, yes, famously as a Kabbalist, was a devotee of Rambam, which is still unique in the world today. So that's probably why his name came up because he referred to the Rambam as the Yad HaZacha and the Great Eagle, like students of the Rambam do. But he was very comfortable with philosophy and Kabbalah, and it's still quite unique in the world.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. All right, so that's the a little bit of a connection. I'm afraid that we're being way over the top of the heads of if anybody might be watching this.
Well, yeah, anyone who's watching, it's just that there's a mystical tradition of Judaism called Kabbalah. I'm being very simplistic here. And there's a philosophical tradition of the rationalists. And essentially they clashed and they continue to clash today, where the Kabbalists or many Hasidic groups say, don't study the philosophy of the Rambam. And many Rambam philosophers say, oh, Kabbalah, it's just this, out there thing. The reason I love Abulaf so much, one of the major reasons is he's the bridge between those two worlds. He could do both.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you really got me going. Another thing that you mentioned the last time we spoke, if I remember correctly, was the Humanian. What was that
Yes.
called?
Pro Human Foundation. I believe you spoke with the executive director,
What was her name?
Lori Warren.
Lori, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Amazing work.
I speak to two or three people a day,
Right.
so at least, so it's a little hard for me to remember unless I do my homework before I start meeting.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that we had a lovely conversation, and we'll see what happens.
They're a fantastic group. People should check them out. Prohumanfoundation.org, I believe, with Daryl Davis and, of course, Lori Warren, and then Bayan Bartning, excuse me. And just a great group. A great group. Really, they got the fundamentals of Western society down, which is there's an individual. The individual forms a family or a community unit, which forms a locale, which forms a nation, and we self-govern from there. We don't group ourselves based on gender, sex. I mean, the whole seems like a lot of the civil rights movement fell upon itself because they were fighting against these things. They're fighting against people being judged by their skin color and being judged by their
Right.
gender. And now all people talk about now is, well, because of your skin color, your gender, you fit into this hierarchy of suffering and this hierarchy of victimization. And it just kind of collapsed on itself. So what they're trying to do is to say the real, I think they're trying to say, I'll let them speak for themselves, but the real legacy of the civil rights movement or Western society in general is there's an individual who's unique, who can't be defined by pigmentation and can't be defined by gender. And you can't group people into collectives. We're supposed to be individuals here who can uniquely join a collective if you want to, but you're not defined by the collective. So I love this group.
I think I'm trying to remember. It might have been one of the Jewish sages that wrote Al Ken Nivra Adam Yichidi. That's why man, or mankind, an individual, were created as an individual.
Oh,
So that you can't say, well, my dad is bigger than your dad or something like that. Let me take a
oh,
peek and see.
okay. I believe it's Rabbi Meir who said that all the dust of the earth was gathered to form Adam and Chava, so that one person can say, "Oh, I come from this special earth," or "I come from this special star," and you don't. So I think it's along those lines.
Let's see. Yes, it says it's no, I remembered part of it, but I connected it. I did a mashup of the wrong thing.
Yeah, yeah. This is a Cholent version.
But I'm seeing here in the Talmud. One second. This is the Talmud, yeah? No, this is the Mishnah. Therefore, man was created as an individual
Mm,
to teach you that anybody who destroys a single soul, it's as if he destroyed an entire world.
wow.
And anybody who saved a single soul, it's as if he created or saved an entire world. Did I get that
That's
right?
beautiful. Yeah, that no, no, that's exactly right. Where's that
Um,
Mishnah from? Does it say what
of course, of course. It is from the Tractate of Sanhedrin,
mm-hmm.
chapter 4, Mishnah 5.
Wow. Yeah, I mean that's the key of the Torah, which is still way ahead its time is that everyone's created. Every single person is B'Tselem Elohim. Everyone has a divine soul. Everyone's unique. And you just can't group people into Jew, non-Jew, black, white, male, female. You just can't put people in their collectives. We all have those unique marks or unique groups. Like to be a Jew to me is not to be part of like a think group. Like I'm part of a unique nation, part of a family. But I have my broader family, which is humanity. But still, we have to look at each individual uniquely. And we're miles away from that. But we have to take one step a day at a time.
That's what we're doing, I guess.
I think so.
How
And
yeah,
I was
go
gonna say, and
ahead.
I'm working on the Christian and Jewish connection that you've been working on with Root Source, and people should always go to your website and see the new materials being put up and the new teachers. And I was invited to speak at a Bible study in Mississippi, so I hope I can get down there.
How far
Which
away is that from you?
like half an hour. I'm right on the border,
Oh,
Memphis.
cool.
Yeah. So Christians and Jews want to meet and they want to work together. So I mean, those connections are being built.
Well, if you get a chance to mention Root Source, I'd be happy to meet people, as you know.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Every time I meet people doing Christian Jewish work, we have the Memphis Friends of Israel here in Memphis, and then I mentioned Root Source, and I just want to keep building these bridges. There's so many good people of faith out there, and they should not just get discouraged and sit at home. Take on a project or do a good deed or study your Bible and reach out to Jewish people, and Jewish people reach out to Christian people, and really all kinds of people. I mean, really, I really want to explore this avenue of reaching out to the Sikh and Baha'i faiths here in Memphis. Incredible. And the Baha'i faith, you've been to the Baha'i Gardens probably in Haifa.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
just incredible people.
We've heard of the Baha'is, who I
Hmm.
believe are a pretty small population-wise religion.
Yes. Yes.
But the Sikhs, I think, are probably like in the top five or something like that.
I actually don't know. I think it's 20 million total. I have to look up that number. I actually
We've heard of
they're
them. It'd be
quite amazing
interesting
group.
to. We don't see too many of those here in Israel, to the best of my knowledge.
No, I met them all in New York City, and there's a group here in Memphis, and just an incredible. It was the first time, and maybe this will change in the future too, and it seems like it is, but every time I've gone to like a devout Muslim place or devout Christian place, there's always a thing about, hey, at some point you got to convert, you know, and here's a Jewish person, and you know what I mean. There's a conversion principle.
Yes.
The way the Lord is through
The
our
Great
way.
Commission of the Christians.
Yeah, and so with the Sikhs, they have the beard, the turban, all the dress, very devout people. And I remember sitting with them and I was learning some Punjabi, I was learning some of the songs, and I was thinking, oh, when do they ask me when I'm going to convert? And a lady came up to me, she says, I have a question for you. I was like, okay, here we go. She says, why do you speak Punjabi better than we do? It's so nice to see you. And she kept walking. And I was like, this is amazing. Isn't it amazing that in my life, at that point, I was in my 20s, I was thinking, this is the first time that two people believed in God from different traditions really just sat peacefully and didn't try to change each other.
That's ultimate. It says something like that in the Bible. Every person shall go in the name of the Lord, or something like that. In other words,
Mm.
everybody's got their different perspective, if you will. The story of the elephant, the mashal, how do you say that in English?
Oh, not analogy, but the mushal. Yeah, it's the same in English. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. This
the story,
parable,
the
parable,
fable, the
parable,
parable. That's the word.
parable. That's the word.
We're coming up on Rosh Hashanah next week, aren't we?
Yes, I'm in the Baron Hirsch Men's Choir.
Ooh.
I said to my choir uh, friend, colleague, Jack Bells, I said, I've been in the choir 7 years. He said, that's great. I've been in it 87 years.
Get
Jack
out.
Bell's, Jack Bell's absolute pillar. I would say pillar of American Judaism, but certainly pillar of Memphis. And him and his family are quite the philanthropic family and leaders. And he's in the choir every year since he said that, I think since he was 7 years old. I think he's 95, thank God, 96.
Oh my gosh, I'd love to
You'd
meet him.
love to meet him. He is sharp as a tack, incredible mind.
Get him and see if he'll be willing to do a Zoom with me.
That's interesting. I'll reach out. I'll reach out because
And I'm guessing that he's a member of the Bells family that the Yeshiva University School of Cantorial Music is named for.
that's the family. And they made a very significant gift recently to Yeshiva University, I think in the past year or two, to continue to build Yeshiva University. It's quite an amazing business, philanthropic, spiritual family. So it's really a quite a bracha to sit next to him in the men's choir.
Okay. Is
Yeah.
his son also there, or his son already moved out to New York or something?
Okay, so there's different family in New York. Son-in-law is here with that family, Groveman, and also, I think Andy's the head of one of the federations of like the world. And again, just incredible leadership. He spent weeks and months in Israel, helping. So, anyways, it's really neat to be in Memphis with such unique people.
Thank you very much. I'm glad I asked. Thanks for telling me.
Yes,
I got another meeting coming up,
of
and we
course.
will see each other in a few weeks.
Pleasure, bracha, to join you, Lashana Tova, and to all your listeners. You have a great host here.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.